haunted by a doll.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I painted that.
When did you do that?
I did it. It was about a month ago. It's funny because I got the idea from Tasha put out a alien. What's the guy's name? Giger.
Oh yeah.
But it was like weird. It was a book from like the late '90s. And it had like a pink background with like this metallic embossed alien that he drew. And so it always like sat in my brain. I'm like, that has to be the weirdest thing I've ever seen. So that was like a riff on it.
Oh, good for you, man. I got a farmhouse IPA.
Nice. Yeah, I'm just doing Dos Equis today.
That's good. This is 6.8%.
Oh my gosh, which number are you on?
This is my second one. I had.
Nice. Well, how fast did you drink the first one though?
I was pretty slow about it because I wanted to make sure that I didn't get in here like really drunk or something. I'm such a lightweight, man.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I'm responsible these days. I'm like a 2 beer a day, maybe even every other day now.
Really? When did that happen?
I don't know. Just got bored of drinking.
So, do you consider yourself a cartoonist or a painter?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. So I would say both in a weird way. I mean, I don't usually like use the word cartoonist just because like I respect cartoonists. You know what I mean? There's a lot of cartoonists I look up to. So it's like I hold that word like very dearly, you know what I mean? But that's me being modest. But yeah, I guess I would consider myself a cartoonist, even though it's like not my full-time job, but I put in the man hours. So I might as well embrace it. So it's one of those things where, I still do pages every day, but just as far as publishing goes, it's like not really into it. Not in a sense of just because of the workload. But painting wise, what happens a lot of times is like I'll start drawing comics and then I want to paint, A lot of times with cartooning or making comics, I'll just do them in my sketchbook, like, excuse me, not even to the capacity of how you draw them, but just like thumbnailing the entire book. I'll thumbnail a 200-page story and I'll feel comfortable. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't even feel the need to express it beyond that a lot of times, Mm-hmm. So it's kind of interesting to see you run that gamut, but just in that like that 25-page count. Because to me, that's like expressing the idea still.
Yeah. Are you still working on your comic? Aren't you working on a book now?
Yeah, so I've got 2 projects currently. I'm doing the Eightfold Path. That's for Abrams, and that thing's a fucking monster. That's 220 pages, and that's due out spring of 2022. So I'm doing the character designs. There's about like 30 character designs. Fucking work. So it's going to be like an EC comic style. So it's going to be like that Jack Davis, like detailed, crazy stuff, So I just ordered like a bunch of like calligraphy, like pens and markers to experiment with to like figure it out. And then I'm working on the museum, Columbus Museum of Art. They hired me to do a COVID comic, like just documenting, like whatever I want. Basically, they're like, oh, hey, do whatever you want. Just, document this idea or like what's going on right now. But it's interesting because even just the idea, like the nature of it, COVID comics, right? It's like has a nice spin to it, a nice rhythm. And so what's been interesting about it is that it's the perfect storm for like cartoonists to create because it's like this weird, because you get to just sit inside, But I mean, with diamond folding, like it's kind of like a free market now, meaning like for those specialty shops, but like, because like I try to like make my kids book and stuff, and I think about like toys and stuff like that. Plus, toys are just like fun and cool. What have I got recently? I got an Alex Toth letter.
What?
He bashes. Yeah, and this one he bashes Ralph Bakshi about Cool World.
What? Holy shit!
Yeah, dude.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I got like 2 of these now.
Wow.
So it's like, and like it's weird because with these, it's like you could get them like super cheap, and like actually the reason I buy them, this is gonna sound really fucking nerdy, is because of the lettering. It's like so I could just study his lettering, because like it's like very emotional, and so it's like, but the lettering is just impeccable, and like I own a Toth like original art, so like to have something like this actually like kind of like fits the two together. You know, it's like, okay, I have some of his lettering and some of his art. See him not bitching and complaining. Yeah, like, come on, dude. Like, that's insane. Like, and that's like what I try to go for. Like, not in the sense of like, I'll show you some of the pages I've been working on.
Yeah.
But like, so with like,
Oh my God, beautiful.
thank you. So yeah, a lot of it's just trying to reduce the backgrounds, you know?
Yeah.
And then like, let me see if there's, yeah, so like this one too. Like I'm really into like doing these arches right now.
Yeah.
I know that sounds weird, but like I'm into like trying to take the backgrounds and make them interesting
Mhm.
and reducing them, but not making it like overdrawn, you know what I mean? Like, but making it feel full. So it's
Yeah.
this weird like mind game I'm playing, you know, where I like play around with that stuff.
That's really tricky not to overdraw, man. I fall victim to that. I'll show you the page I did yesterday that I did too much on with this page here.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible though. Dude,
Yeah.
you had a long day yesterday. That's incredible, dude. No,
Uh,
I love it. But it's appropriate though. You know what I mean?
the line is a crush.
Yeah. You say it's a crutch?
Yeah, the line is a crush. Here's another series I got. This is from my childhood too. Like I'm just buying comic books from my childhood, like stuff that was like around my house, like on the floor and stuff like that, you know. And this is one my father had. This is a series of the new Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah, the Art Adams ones.
Yeah.
Full of issues of those.
Dude.
It's crazy because with those, Noah, the production in those, yeah, I don't have that one. The reproduction in that, the line, the scan, or however they photographed it, is really weird. It's like doesn't capture all of it, so it has this weird. I don't want to say like artifacting, but like it's not the full line.
Yeah,
or maybe it's drawing too detailed, like it's just not picking it up.
I think that's what it was.
But those issues are incredible. Those are very underrated issues, actually.
Absolutely.
But I was thinking about this the other day. Do you remember like when you were a kid and like the Sunday papers or like whatever? And this is probably pretty much exclusively with like Calvin and Hobbes, where you would like cut out the paper and like keep it and like, you know, put it in like a photo album or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that recently because that's like kind of like a community driven like zine, you know, like you would share them with people like, oh, I have this one, like, and I was thinking about how like that's been lost, you know what I mean? Like the idea of like collecting newspaper strips in the sense of when they would arrive, you know what I mean? It was like this community active, like, you know, comic collecting, which has always been there until like newspapers went out, because everyone had like cutouts of Calvin and Hobbes, whether it's on your wall or like in a book like I had them, where I would just like collect them. Oh, that was a whole culture that went away.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because no one cuts out newspapers anymore. I know that's kind of like derailing, but I'm thinking of like things that impacted us as like cartoonists that like it's like in your mind's eye or that you forgot. You know what I mean?
Were you collecting comics as a kid?
Nah, I didn't find comics until I was like 10 or 11. I think the first time I thought like comics was when Batman '89, because that came out on my birthday. And you know that like drawing and it says like Bob Kane and it like the drawing of the bat, like, and I was like, wow, that's a really cool drawing. I was like 8 years old, like, is that what a comic book looks like?
Like I would not want to be a part of like modern mainstream comics because I just don't think they're exciting at all. Like
it's so trash. I never thought that I would say that like I could be least like so disinterested in anything, even produced by like Image. Like, and I'm not shitting on anybody. But it's just like, oh, I'm into what my friends are making. You know what I mean? You really have to look for comics now during this like situation. So I think it kind of like, hopefully it creates a new value. And this is like bullshit optimism, but it's like, hopefully people value what they have after this like COVID. You know what I mean? And the idea of like a comic book shop or like, you know, the idea of distribution. What would that look like in the future now? Because obviously I want comics to go away. You know, but it's like, you know, especially if my books are coming out, it's like, I fucking want everything there, you know? Right. I don't want to be, like, left out the party.
Yeah. I think everybody. That's true though. That's a good point. Like everybody should value like the coffee shop they have in their neighborhood and stuff. You
Yeah.
know, all the small businesses that like because right now in our neighborhood, there's like 5 small businesses that we actually care about, and we're like really scared that they're gonna not make it through this.
Right.
And it's just like, how can we help you? Here's $20.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, it creates a different narrative, or like an appreciative narrative. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, like, hopefully, when people go back, and obviously, like, eye roll and everything's gonna go back to normal. But I hope that people make a point to go back to those, like, the dark indie, section of the comic book shop. Like, go underneath the counter and pull out the indie books. Like the local shit.
You know what I did? Like the highlight of my day the other day was I was out walking around my neighborhood and I looked up in the sky and I saw 2 birds attacking a hawk. And today I was like so depressed. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't do anything. I was just like sitting around and I was just thinking about like when I was a young man in Denver. I had this this hustle for comics where I was like running around the town basically with like my little messenger bag full of comics and like zines.
Yeah.
And just like trying to sell them and give them to people on 16th Street Mall. And I was just like all that. And then like flash forward.
Streets, man, that's crazy.
I had to order. I was gonna order new glasses,
Mhm.
and I just looked at it and I was like, why am I trying to pretty up this corpse? I was like, fuck it. I'm not getting new glasses. Like, you still have that apartment and the studio?
Oh yeah, I got the whole basement, bro. I got a city block, dude. It's like
You really do.
that's the only way I can afford to be like so like happy and bullshit all the time. It's like, oh, who cares? My rent's only $550. Oh,
Yeah.
whatever. Like I'll just go ride my bike all day and draw for a little bit,
Yeah.
But it's kind of weird, because like this is gonna sound weird. I limited my drawing time now to like 3 hours a day.
Why?
Like because like I was working so much, and so it's like down to a point of where I have to work 7 days a week.
Mhm.
And like 3 hours sounds like you can't get anything done. But psychologically what it did, it like, okay, I work straight through. So I can like power through it and get the work done. And I can work in a short burst with that easier than like sitting at a table for 8 hours and barely drawing anything. So during that time where I'm not drawing a comic, let's say I'm like riding my bike or something, I'm thinking about like the story, compositions, like structure, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like it's working out pretty well. An 8-hour day is very foreboding versus a 3-hour day. It's like, oh, that's light work. Okay, I can go do that.
Wait, how many pages do you have done of this comic that you're doing for Abram?
It's about 12 now. I've been working on it for about 2.5 weeks. So I'll have it wrapped up, and that's including coloring and editing. So I'll have it wrapped up in about probably a week, week and a half. Like, here's the recent page I did for it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great, man.
Yeah, that kind of shit, like that took me 3 hours, and that's just like laborious, it's just like detailed bullshit, which I hate. But doing that, like I said, that 3 hours, I'm like, okay, I got 3 hours to do it. So it's like whatever I get done in that time. And since I like coloring, I'll just do that passively. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, it works out pretty well. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sitting at a table 8 hours no more. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be out.
Who is so you're part of the new Abrams line that's coming out?
Yeah, so with the imprint, I think it has, I don't know the amount of all the books on it. I would say there's probably like 8 to 12 books.
Wow.
Out. Yeah, so I think the earliest one is, because I was the last one to sign.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know my book's coming out last. So I think the earliest might be like spring of next year. I have to look at Abrams like release. I think they release like twice a year. I can't remember their calendar. They probably do like quarterly, but I'm not sure about the comics department,
Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, so and this is my first time working with them. So it's been super chill, but like I said, everything's still working out, like the script and everything. So a lot of that's more just character designs and shit like that at this point. But like my goal, and this sounds crazy, but I plan on doing like the 220 pages in like 4.5 months. I know I'm gonna do 2 a day and just like clear my schedule. I might even move somewhere to go do that.
Yeah, just go.
I'm a fucking Robert Crumb when he did Genesis. Like,
yeah, right. People would like wanted so many things from him that his wife just rented a little cottage and then brought him out there and just left him there to work.
Yeah, because dude, that's what has to happen, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you would ever say this, but it's like being the authority, you know, in like a graphic novel version of the golden tablets, you know, golden plates, the Joseph Smith story. It's kind of badass, you know.
Thanks. But you know what works against me is that like when I'm working on, because this happened to me when I did the hypo, the Abraham Lincoln book, was that like I like immerse myself so much in this subject and I work on this book, but then as soon as it's done, like, and I send it to the publisher, like I just like basically all that stuff goes in the garbage file of my brain. And and I move on to the next thing. And then it comes out and I have to promote it and I have to like remember where
you go back to all the trauma.
Yeah, I have to go back and like, remember all like the facts and stuff that I learned about this subject. Yeah. Because you're going to be quizzed on it when the book comes out. And I'm like, I don't remember because I've already done 2 other books since I did that, you know?
Yeah, dude, you better fucking be sharp as a tack because I watch interviews with like, you know, because a lot of library institutions want to interview you and it's so academic driven. Yeah. I've seen like my favorite comic book artists from God level become like mere mortals because they fucking said the dumbest fucking thing about their books, you know?
I know.
Are cartoonists cool?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Maybe this summer I should do my thing where I do the book, where I go hide out for 4 months and do the whole book. You know?
Yeah. Like go to a hunting cabin. That's my dream.
Yeah. I'll be like, what's the Unabomber?
Yeah. That's like you drawing a comic. Yeah.
Come out like a wild beast.
Yeah. I thought about that, man. When I was in the middle of working on the Grateful Dead book and the Joseph Smith book at the same time, I almost had like a fucking panic attack.
Yeah, dude. I would have a heart attack, dude. I couldn't fucking do it. I believe in Comic Sans. A lot of people give Comic Sans shit. I believe
what are you talking about? You believe in it?
I believe in Comic Sans. I like Comic Sans. I don't think it should be like poked fun at. I think it's a good font. Don't fuck up.
You're not. Nah, you're just fucking around. You're not.
No, I'm being serious. I'll fucking make a comic with dope Comic Sans. Like Hakeem got knuckle tats. He's like, what font should I do? I said Comic Sans, obviously. I think there's room for Comic Sans. I swear to God, I think there's an argument for being relevant. I'm not saying that I'll persuade you.
All right.
I know it's not. I'm not like trying to be hipster about it. I'm being serious. Like, it's not that bad of a font. Like, it was like the 90s fucking computer font. Like, it can't be that bad.
Let's see.
So it's like, no, it's that bad.
You use it in a comic and make it look good somehow?
I think I could. Trust me, if I could clear $1 million one day, Noah, I ain't doing goddamn thing. I'm gonna steal a fucking garden. I'm gonna like do normal shit. I would like learn how to make bread.
When I lived in Columbus, Ohio, one year I was there, the first year I was there, I made $8,000 that I was there.
You survived off that?
Yeah, dude. $8,000. It was the worst year ever. And I remember I did my taxes that year, and then the IRS like made me fill out this thing like, how did you survive on $8,000? Like they didn't believe me. Like if I wanted to get a swimming pool here, I couldn't even. There'd be like snakes swimming in it and stuff. And
are there snakes there?
Oh yeah, absolutely, tons.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, there'd be like all sorts of bugs. Like if we got in the pool here, one of those like little parasites would swim up your pee hole and open its spines. That's the kind of shit you have in the South. Oh, we can't have a swimming pool.
Awesome.
All right, man. Let's have
All right. Well, it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for doing it, man.
Cool. Yeah, for sure.